What's up, all you lazy, entitled, basement-dwelling millennials, bootstrapping boomers, apathetic Xers, and goddamn Gen Z kids today? With me always is Taylor, and just Taylor. He's matching me today with the high
Oh,
vis.
yeah. You know, I just felt like it was very important for us to be one for once.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had this laying around. I pulled it out one day. I was going for a run and was like, oh, hey, I do own neon. One thing.
One thing in the hey, well, at least you got something. You look good.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. I feel good. That's
you
for sure.
should. You should feel good.
I feel really good.
And that's what it's all about. Now, obviously, our podcast has a bit of a generational undertone.
You might say that.
And we're millennials, and we're a little millennial heavy, I think, on some of our stuff. And this this episode's about how us millennials we're fucking killing it.
We're killing it, brother.
Yeah.
We're killing it, and we're killing everything, apparently.
Everything. It's a running meme. It's a running meme that millennials kill everything. And it's our 15th episode. It's almost a new year. And we thought maybe we'd get back to our roots and just reminisce about all the industries that millennials have murdered.
Yep, we're quite the serial killer at this point.
We are. We've taken down, just mangled and mauled capitalism at this point, and people aren't happy about it, I guess. We're not either, because most of the things we haven't killed out of because we wanted to kill them.
Right. No, most of the time it's, boy, I sure do wish I could take that vacation that apparently millennials killed.
But I spent some time in the depths of Reddit, who has nicely, yeah, it is nicely compiled a bunch of the articles of things millennials have killed, and we're gonna have a fun one today. We're just gonna go through and kind of pick some of our favorites and just talk about, why we're doing 25 to life for this particular thing that.
But we're not going to list 25 things that we killed today because that's a little bit inane and redundant.
A little excessive, but I gotta some of these articles, and I know most of you guys have probably seen some of them.
Oh my God. I don't know how you couldn't. It's been on our own local news channels, put crap out there. They're like, oh, this is the next thing that millennials have killed. It's even Carol Evans all into it. It's a funny thing to do now.
It is. And it's become a worn out joke, and we're going to wear it out some more. Because it's just who takes themselves seriously when they write this shit? And I get some of it's written, ironically or satirically at this point. But it didn't start out that way. It became a joke because so many people were legitimately writing millennials are killing razors, the shaving industry, millennials killing the razor industry because we're adopting a more casual appearance and lifestyle, not as clean shaven. And, all of us hipster millennials all have beards and everything like that. And it's just the Gillette's
though.
Well, yeah, we do have beards. Gillette might not make it, because of us. Never mind that all the women still seem to mostly
Isn't that
shave.
just free market capitalism, though?
It really is.
Isn't it? Why would you blame somebody for just doing the thing that is supposedly so great?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
Regardless, we're not going to talk too much about the political.
We'll get into that at the end here, but it's so ridiculous.
It's mind-boggling to think that. First of all, the premise of that statement is just wildly outlandish. To say millennials have killed something. Okay, you're gonna say an entire generation specifically and systematically killed something? How you just say, oh, millennials killed something? Well, what the fuck are you talking about?
And I've got to believe that they write it this way because.
Clickbait?
Yeah, clickbait, but also boomers.
But also boomers.
Boomers are the idiots who still pay for media. They're the people who are on cable news and have phones that plug into the wall and
I
stuff.
donated to Wikipedia.
I did too, actually. I felt bad. That is so fucking funny, man. No shit. The other day, because every time you go on, their shit pops up right now. They're like, "We're sorry to bother you," and I'm like, and now that I've donated, now I'm actually getting a little annoyed with it because it's like I gave you some money, but I was like, I felt bad. I use it all the time, and I'm like,
I found it like they actually that thing doesn't pop up for me as much
really
anymore.
Every single page I open, and I mean, I use it multiple times daily. Everyone.
Sounds like you did it wrong.
Apparently, I didn't give them enough money. That's why I didn't even give the minimum donation. I don't know. I mean, it's like $5 or $10. I think I'd give like $10, which isn't huge.
I think I gave him 20. So
nice,
obviously, that's the threshold.
There we go. I need to up it another 10. Yeah. But no, I did. I actually felt like a little guilt. I'm like, I use this all the time, and I genuinely, I use it to make my content. It's usually my first launch pad because I can get all of my information nice and concisely in one spot.
Well, and they've done a really great job since when we were growing up when it first started, and it was like you could edit it multiple times per day, like any page. But now it's like, no, you have to be like a creator specifically to edit like larger pages, and like the citations on there are actually
you've got like really good citations,
actual citations. Like you can go to it and be like, okay, these are 3 articles about this one particular thing that I could get some more info on, and then like say those are the places that you cited your information on when you just got all that info from Wikipedia.
Well, and I mean, I always go and I re-Google or I will Google because a lot of times I want more in depth than what Wikipedia gets in anyway. But it gives me that a lot of times there's things that I would have never even known to look for without Wikipedia there, and that it's an invaluable resource. So I did feel guilty. I did give them money, and I don't feel guilty about that. I'm just now fucking annoyed that they keep NPRing me every time I go in there for more money, but. I have no idea where I was. Oh yeah, boomers paying for fucking.
Boomers pay for shit.
And like a lot of these publications are behind paywalls that print this kind of shit, like the New York Times,
Washington Post. There's a bunch of them.
And boomers love bitching about. I mean, obviously we love bitching about boomers, but I think that's just. We've gotten it for so long from them that
we don't even like when we bitch about boomers, like we often don't bitch about like the cultural aspects of what like defines boomers as a generation, like culturally. We bitch about boomers in the sense of how they've like absolutely fucked our political system and therefore our lives because they fucking fucked everything.
And then blame us for it. That's even the worst thing. I'm not even as mad at them about. And again, I need to always say this because I always get boomers who are mad at me about this, and it's not all boomers, and there's many lovely boomers out there who are not assholes who have fought the good fight their entire lives. But as a collective generation, it was that generation that did these things.
Right. I mean, the silent generation like did a lot to like set the stage, and then all the boomers had to do was like, yep, that sounds good. Because they all obviously like it sounded good. Like they're like, oh, you're gonna get a good job, and it's not gonna be that hard to buy a house and live on one income. Even though by the time it's like the 70s and 80s, that was like less so.
There's definitely a difference between late boomers and early boomers. And,
right. Well, I mean, I was just like the silent generation itself. Like they deserve a lot of the blame, but they are silent, so we don't talk about them as much. Like the boomers are so flamboyantly blaming millennials and now Gen Z for like just existing the way that they were like brought up. Meanwhile, having brought them up in some cases themselves.
And that's what bothers me the most. It's not that they like destroyed the world,
right? It's themselves like on their own right.
Right. It's like they destroyed the world, which sucks, and then. All the time we were growing up, they blamed us when we were like 10 years old for destroying the world. They're like,
oh, you're 18 years old? Clearly, you're the reason why napkins are failing as an industry.
Like, you're the reason the housing market crashed. And it's like, I'm still in high school. What the fuck are you talking about? Right. But I believed it for a long time. Like, that millennial self-loathing and the gaslighting. That's what always killed me with the boomers. But the boomers love that. They love looking down on millennials, and obviously publications have exploited that for a long time, which is why we have. And that's my theory as to why they write this shit.
And it's like, obviously there was generations before the boomers that were shitting on the boomers, and classic boomer fashion, they have perpetuated that shitting on the next generation to an even greater extent than that was, because all they had back then was like print newspaper. And how many digs can you read about another generation on a newspaper format before you're like, all right, I don't need to hear about this.
Yep.
But like when you make a like somewhat creative article about how millennials specifically are ruining this particular industry, it's like, well, that might be interesting to see how like the media has like highlighted this divide to a crazy extent.
100%.
And we're here to talk about
we're here
that.
we're here just to go through and apologize, from the bottom of our insincere hearts. That's right. About all the things. So we got a list. I'm just gonna go through and start picking one. One of my favorites, or I think one of just the funniest ones on here, was millennials are killing good-looking houses.
Killing good-looking houses.
It's so the actual title. It's a Vice article, Vice Money.
Wow, Vice doing us dirty like that.
Yeah, I know. And it says millennials are finally buying houses and making them ugly.
Oh wow!
And I and like I just read this. I haven't even read the fucking article, but it's going into, I kind of glazed over it, and it's going into, a lot of millennials are buying houses and doing renovations. I know that's even one thing that you're talking about wanting to do here soon, because you're more ambitious than me. When I was a little kid, my mom and stepdad bought an old fixer-upper house that like an ancient couple owned. They're like a Polish couple who was like a World War II vet and shit. And they renovated the whole thing, but we were living in it, and it was like one of the most miserable experiences in my memory. And I'm like, I never want to experience that ever again. Like bathrooms being tore apart and like everything being dusty all the time. And
I mean, our goal, like, we're getting pretty personal here, but like our goal is within the next like 3 to 5 years to get a place, and we're working on having a kid right now. We're not even pregnant yet, so hopefully our kids won't remember that stage of their lives, or we'll have a complete enough area for them to live in which they don't have to experience that. But I totally get what you mean. Definitely had friends growing up that like their house was just always being renovated in a way that was not just like, oh, like this last weekend we redid the trim on the back half of our house.
Right, yeah.
And like it kind of disarrays the house, but like you could still use the bathroom. There's no like plumbing issues are going on or anything like that. But so like there's different levels of that for sure. But I was just looking at this article, and I thought it was crazy. This one is talking about like a sink replacing. Mostly I think it looks like everybody's just complaining about how we're turning old shit and turning it gray, or
it is
or making it like modern architecturally speaking, mixing that with like an older style is what it. And the one of them in here is like, every time original hardwood floors are replaced by gray plank vinyl, a year's taken off my life. And I cannot disagree with that much more wholeheartedly. Like that does hurt me. But the tweet that's on here shows 2 different houses.
Yeah,
it's not the same house. It's not even a renovation.
Same floor. Yeah, like we don't know that there's real hardwood floor under there. And also, can anybody talk shit when boomers put carpet over fucking hardwood floors?
Right, vinyl planking over hardwood floors is no different. And you're not replacing the hardwood floor with the vinyl plank. You're putting the vinyl plank over it. So like it's like it's terrible, but
and then with the carpet, because that was one of those things in that renovation when I was growing up. You know what I had to do? I had to sit there with one of those little putty sticks and scrape all the fucking floor matting off of it, and then the hardwood floors had to be all sanded.
All the glue that they fucking used and all that linoleum.
God,
and
if anybody's ever gonna sit there and shit talk about this kind of thing, like you just can't, because you can lift up the vinyl plank hardwood floors, and the hardwood floors are just there underneath
it. You don't usually glue like vinyl planking down.
No, it's free floating.
It's a floating floor. Yeah.
So all you're doing is protecting the hardwood at that point.
Like I mean, carpet does that to a certain extent if you don't use fucking glue, which did get used way too fucking much.
Well, and then the other thing with carpet is it would, like, especially because, they put it down and then they never replaced it.
Yeah. When we moved into our place, it was 70s carpet, we're pretty sure. And we bought the place like 3 years ago. So
how many years of dog urine just sitting on top? Because, you never get it out of the carpet.
No,
like
you
just
can't make it go away for a little bit.
So like that, it stains every time you pull up carpet that's been down that long. The vinyl floor or the hardwood floors need to be sanded and redone. It's so gross. So like, yeah, I don't want to fucking hear. Also, green bathroom fixtures, like that's not something that millennials ever did. You cannot sit there and or this one, bye 1980s shell sink. It's like fucking fake marble, weird looking shell indented sink and stuff like that. Like,
and you replace it with something you buy at Home Depot for $50. It's like it looks newer and not like a seashell. Also, it was like $50 or $100 at Home Depot. Right. So like you're like changing the way your entire house feels for something so cheap. Like it'd be great if we could renovate our houses and just like put all this money into like bringing back like some like historical aspects to the house, if there are any. If it's a house built like between like 1940 and today, there's basically nothing historically interesting about it other than maybe the exterior.
Yeah.
Like, but otherwise it's a box.
Even most of those are just box cookie cutter houses that were built post-war.
Right.
They were all literally the exact same house. Most of the suburbs in the country are that way.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. All the houses basically built like post-war, other than like a specific couple architectural styles, but mostly on the whole, on the large, most of the houses are just cookie cutter bullshit that there's nothing redeeming or like interesting about it as in being of it itself. It's just like, oh, it's a good house. Like there's a box and I can change it. I will say though, millennial renovations, and this is something my wife and I always argue about, is when a house is almost entirely gray, I'm like, this is the biggest turnoff to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you just spent a lot of money making everything gray, and I do not want it to be gray.
I will agree. I do think it's better than...
Oh, it's better than
all white, like everything just painted eggshell.
True.
And also better than wallpaper.
Yeah, on the entire wall for every single room.
Yeah, you still have one of those old wallpapery rooms in your house.
I do. I have one room that we did not want to try to tackle. It's floor to ceiling wallpaper. That's white and yellow flowers. I don't know. It's okay actually. You've slept in that room.
I have
before.
slept in that room, and it is dated.
Bright.
But like that's what like the audacity of this article is. Like, we're buying houses and making them ugly, and it's like, have you seen any of this shit from the 60s and 70s and 80s? Remember the 80s when they put mirrors on fucking everything and made it black and white? Like, you just can't. You cannot sit here and tell me like, yeah, maybe some millennial renovations are bad, like everything being all gray, and some of the pictures and examples they have in here of like more historically architectural houses, trying to make them look a bit more modern.
I actually really dig this one, where it shows like an old, like probably a 3-bedroom, 2-story in England, it looks like, and they basically doubled the size of the house by building a like super modern extension. And like
I honestly like that one. I think that one works. The one above that one.
The one above it's a little cringy, taking away all the brick and then just doing like a plaster or something.
Yeah, they like
over
plastered over the brick.
Or
they did an addition to that too, but they took away a big bay window and stuff. I don't like that one, but the other one, they left the exposed brick. They painted over some of it, but they left at least exposed brick accents. And then I thought that modern kind of boxy architecture to the side looked nice. So I mean, it's all preference, but yeah, to say that we're making shit ugly, we've never had puke green toilets and sinks and bathtubs.
You've never bought like entirely pink porcelain toilets and thought that was a good idea.
shag carpet.
Right.
No millennial has been like, you know what I should cover my entire house in?
Carpet.
A fucking giant mop.
Right.
Just cover the whole floor in a mop. This will definitely be sanitary. All right, I think we've done this one to death. I was just like the audacity of the like.
That is pretty. I mean, and for Vice too. For Vice to do us that dirty, like Vice is supposed to be our news outlet.
It is
to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Katie Way is the author. We're calling you out, Katie.
Katie, come on.
Yeah, do better.
Do better. All right. The next one that I found was inflation. What was it? The main title though, it was
the inflation one.
The affordable prices. Yeah, inflation will remain sticky for a decade because Gen Z and millennials are in their prime spending years. Investment chief says, yeah, no shit. Like, I don't know how this is specifically like their tagline is sticky inflation decade, millennials, Gen Z spending. Like, I don't like that's not doesn't have it could have been any generation, label it anything. Like, if you create the conditions that they're describing here and how like the rate of which we built houses after the Great Recession was halved and didn't recover until a decade later. And then like 10 years after that, we have the largest generational grouping of people entering their prime house buying years. I don't know. Is it the millennials' fault? Or
not to mention, a quarter of the housing market is owned by private capital companies.
Now it is, yeah.
Yeah,
especially
so like
since
that's 20,
COVID.
20 and it's 25%, or I don't remember how many. A couple 100,000 homes are sitting empty. Like,
yeah,
that are owned. That's not our fucking fault. Like, we're not the ones. It's definitely not millennials who own are the CEOs of these companies and stuff. And then blaming millennials for inflation when companies are posting record profits quarter over quarter over quarter, year over year over year.
Don't you know that's a falsity? Corporations are not getting that much. There's no such thing as profitflation.
No such thing as monopolies and oligarchies controlling a market and then blaming us. Once again, it's the gaslighting that pisses me off. It's your fault for all the problems that we are currently causing, that you see us causing. It's like they're doing it right in front of us. And they're like, look what you're doing to yourselves. And it's like, we just want a house, man.
Right.
That's all we want.
Clearly it's your fault.
It's completely our fault. I thought this one, just because it was like super Karen-y.
Oh, yeah.
It's entitled millennials have ruined Airbnb for everyone. And this is the Times, not the New York Times, the Times. I don't know if this is it's .co.uk. I'm not real sure that this is a
I mean, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, their site does look a little like like a New York Posty, kind of thing.
Yeah, and this is commentary. This is one person, bitching about her own experience. So I don't know why it got published at all, but it is a headline. It is a title.
Let's see if we can find any information about this. So she's a British critic and author.
Her name's Catherine Flett.
Yeah. No, go ahead. I'll
So the headline is entitled "Millennials have ruined Airbnb for everyone," which is a bold statement because her entire article is simply about herself.
I mean, isn't that the classic boomer thing to do though?
Really
is to like take one specific thing that you heard happen to one person, or like somebody said that they heard from their best friend's mother's daughter's
uncle's mechanic.
Yeah, exactly. And then be like, the entire country's coming to an end. Like, everything's being ruined by these youngins, these youths.
Well, the gist of her grievance with millennials ruining Airbnb is that she bought a property on the early onset of Airbnb being a thing, and it went great. Airbnb was cool for a while until they started getting more expensive than hotels again and kind of being shitty. But also, I'm pretty sure like millennials sort of not invented, but we were staying at Airbnbs more than probably anybody else.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you don't hear about your parents being. My parents are a little bit Gen Xers, so not really boomers. So they do kind of do the Airbnb and Vrbo stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't hear your grandparents often being like, "Oh, I got to go check the Airbnb." It's more like, "Where's the nearest Holiday Inn?"
Yep, exactly. So she bought these properties, and then she started managing them from afar. From super hosting from 300 miles away proved to be challenging and expensive. Local agency fees went up from £90, whatever that is in freedom bucks, I don't know, per changeover to £150. And meanwhile, guests were turning out to be the kind of cliches I'd always managed to avoid. Those were so grateful for my lovely place, but would leave a 3-star review. And so she got her feelings hurt that she got bad reviews because she's not there managing her own property. So she just wanted a property to pay her money without doing any work whatsoever. Right. And then she was bitching about having to pay somebody else to manage the property. Right. And then she's bitching about people leaving bad reviews because the property isn't managed properly. And that's Millennials' fault. And so she's just like, fine, I'm done with it all. And she sold the properties and quit Airbnb, which is the most entitled snowflake shit I've ever heard in my life, which makes the title entitled Millennials Have Ruined Airbnb for Everybody even more ironic.
That's just so classic boomer thing to do, is like, I'm going to buy a second home to get some extra income as like an investment, and then but not have it be near me where I can personally, maintain it and manage people who are there. It's going to be 300 miles away and I'm going to have to hire somebody, but then I, can't control the prices in which, they charge to run it for me. So I don't have to do anything whatsoever other than just like having money. So
that was the other thing in here. She's like, it paid my mortgage plus enough extra to make it financially worthwhile. And it's like, you're having somebody pay the mortgage. That makes it, you have property that's building equity. That's making it financially worthwhile.
That's already it. That's already financially worthwhile.
Oh my
and
God.
you can vacation there. I'm assuming that the place, wherever it was, wasn't in a shitty location where nobody wants to go.
Right.
So like, you have a vacation home. That's the whole point. It's not meant to be like a secondary income stream. You freaking idiot.
Yeah, and then to cry about it because the ratings hurt her feelings, and the people charging.
Also, 3 stars is not that bad.
No.
1 star is the worst usually you can give. That's bad. 3 stars is like, hey, like there was a couple things that kind of sucked, and it sort of ruined the stay a little bit for me. Not like your place was absolutely trash.
No, it's so true, and that's the thing. Like, I think it'd be awesome, in a dream world that I'll probably never achieve, to have a cabin in Colorado or a house in the Florida Keys that would be Airbnb'd out that I could go vacation in. But I wouldn't expect it to be something that's paying me money. I'd just be happy that most of the expenses were paid or helped paid for it. And the fact that it's our fault that reviews hurt her feelings and she lost her superhost status, and therefore, all right, I'm done ragging on that one. It's just like,
yep, that one pretty prime example of boomer privilege there. Pretty rough. This one says we're setting them up for failure. Boomers supporting their Gen Z and young millennial children are having their retirements ruined and savings raided. And oh my goodness, is this just like the proof in the pudding of like just the absolute inverse, like the crazy clown car reality that we live in today, where it's like, let's blame our kids for us creating a society in which they cannot exist successfully in the way that we did on their own. We have to we're blaming them for not being able to exist when we're the adults. But it's your fault that you were born into existence and that our society sucks so much.
And it's, again, the gaslighting. This is the perfect example of the gaslighting.
And again, this is fortune.com, so it's not like a...
But I mean, it's a real publication.
True.
You know, like it's... and again, and it's behind a paywall.
It is behind the paywall. We don't even know what's next. All we need to know is the headline.
Yep.
In order to...
I was going straight for headlines on this one.
Tuition fees, mobile contracts, cars, insurance, flights, rent, food, bills, list goes on and on. But where do you draw the line on paying for your kids? I don't know. Like, how about try making any sort of social safety nets a reality for them so that they don't have to rely on you, and that we can collectively as a society determine that, like, if you're young and you don't have any money, but you're still working a job or whatever, like, you can exist.
Yeah, you can have a place to live and food to eat, and you know, you can go to the doctor without going bankrupt or like choosing between, you know, like insulin and death.
If we were living in a society pre Neolithic era where like you could just go and then leave like your area to go find and like hunt and build like a group of society somewhere else, that would be what we would do. But that's not possible in today's world.
Can we go back to the hunter and gatherer thing? Like this whole experiment has failed. We need to just scrap it and start back over again.
We've determined that boomers' parents are complaining about their kids existing is the threshold. We've reached it, and now we've passed it. And just so you know, that's the marker for knowing that we need to go back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's painful. It is genuinely painful, because then you think about it too, is like when we get to their age, we're draining their retirements, right? That's what they're blaming us for.
Yeah.
When we get to their age, what fucking retirements? We won't even have retirements to drain for our children, which we would probably do because we're not shitty parents. I mean, I'm not a parent at all because I would be a shitty parent, but they're millennial parents, from what I've seen, by and large, have been mostly solid parents, at least trying to not let their kids have a shittier life than we had, because that's what our parents did to us.
Well, also, if it's to the extent that it's possible, I've noticed that there is no complaining about like millennials, and they're complaining about their kids living with them. Like, you don't hear about that. And we have the misfortune of growing up in this society, whereas our parents and boomers and Gen Xers, they still had this delusion that still exists in some people, that, you know, things are hunky-dory.
Yeah, and everybody, you can bootstrap your way up, and you're just not making it because you didn't work hard enough. And it's like, you know, that's if it's one or two people, that's one thing. When it's the entire fucking generation, it's not the generation now. It's the society that they live in.
People don't change that drastically. An entire generation doesn't like change, just become lazy inherently, you know, overnight or something like that.
It's like, obviously you can look like they've bought their second and third houses now. Like, they know how much this shit costs. Like, do you think that we're able to afford that?
They just don't think about it, you know.
Yeah,
it's gotta be. It's cognitive dissonance. They're just
it's because if they acknowledge it, then they've got to acknowledge that they're not that special.
Right.
And that they
just, you know, were made the right choice of being born 40 years ago.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that was
50 years ago.
If millennials were just smarter and made better choices, like being born in 1955,
right,
they too could have two houses. And
that one video, I've made one real estate purchase in my entire life, and it turned out for a 300% value, and I'm retiring. I'm done. Batting 1,000. I'm out.
And I'm gonna tell everybody else what they're doing wrong now.
Exactly.
All right, moving on. Millennials are killing chains like Applebee's and Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, I was interested to see that one, honestly.
I was too, surprisingly. Like, I mean, I go to Buffalo Wild Wings a fair amount.
Love me some B-dubs.
Applebee's I kind of get. I mean, I go to Applebee's a fair amount just because I live in the middle of nowhere, and like if you want quote unquote nice dining. Sorry, that is hard to get out. If you want a place you can like sit at a table that doesn't have a neon sign over your head, it's one of the few places around that you can go do that.
True. I actually have found that most of the bars have better food than Applebee's, but they are just like bars.
Well, and the funny thing is, every time Emily and I go to an Applebee's, we sit at the bar.
So you're getting the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean,
I don't know. Applebee's, they've got fine food.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's not bad usually.
It's mediocre. I would eat anywhere, and I do. Like we eat at all the other places around too. It's just when you've got 3 or 4 options that are within a reasonable driving distance, you're just gonna go to all of those 3 or 4 options a lot.
Oh yeah.
So that. But no, I could see if I lived in the cities and I had any other option, I probably would never go to Applebee's again.
Right. They're saying that the more convenient chains, like Chipotle and Panera, are especially harmful to very fixed locations like TGI Fridays, Ruby Tuesdays, whatever, and Applebee's. And it's like, well, they're cheaper generally, and they're highly customizable. So it's like, wow, way to be able to shift with what consumers want on like at any given moment. What a novel concept. Like, how dare you go to those restaurants?
And also it's quicker. You think about the fact like Applebee's again is geared towards like boomers who want to sit around a table and not talk to each other while they eat dinner. And we're like, we don't want to sit in a mediocre restaurant, which is why I sit at the bar, because then you're like at least talking to the bartender, and like that's I like interacting with people when I go out.
I feel bad about interacting with the bartender too much because I just feel like I'm boring the fuck out of them.
Oh, I don't call them over and be like, hey,
no,
I want you to listen to this time in 3rd grade.
Well, that's that I
won
me
the spelling
every time
bee.
we go out. I'm always just hanging on to that bartender.
But I mean, a lot of times, especially at Applebee's, because it's usually like us and maybe 2 or 3 other people sitting at the bar, and the bartender.
Yeah.
And the bartenders, especially when, again, you go to bars as often as we do in such a concentrated area, they recognize us in most cases.
Is that the reason why they recognize you?
So, we're friends on the basis that we pay them money, and
and you go near their location in a proximity of them often.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's one of those, and that's just me. But I don't want to go sit down at a table and wait for food. And
I mean, I like going to restaurants with friends. I mean, if it's just me and Addie, I like it is good to do every once in a while. Obviously, like it's good to have a night out, right, as a date night. But if we're not trying to spend like $50 on one meal between the two of us,
right?
We're like, well, yeah, let's go to Chipotle or let's grab a pizza and like share that. Like we don't need to spend that much money and that much time on a dining experience that's just average.
Well, and then if I am gonna go out to a sit down place, why the fuck am I gonna go to Applebee's or TGI Fridays or Ruby Tuesdays? Like why
half pressed apps?
Yeah, I mean, they have the deals sometimes, but like, there's so much, and I think that's part of it. Is they're blaming us for this, but the thing is that there's a lot more one-off restaurants, local restaurants.
Right, family-owned, small businesses.
Right.
Backbone of America, whatever.
Which give you more options, and like I'm like I can eat at an Applebee's fucking anywhere, anytime. If I've got no other options, then great, I'll go there. But if I've got lots of other options, why wouldn't I go check out these locally owned businesses where I can get new food and different menus and try different things and have a different atmosphere than and
hopefully some like really good food.
Exactly.
Let's try out when you go to like visit places. People always say like, oh, the consistency of a place is why you're drawn to it. It's like, well, if I'm visiting a new city, like I don't want to go to Applebee's or TGI Fridays. I want to go to the local places that I can never go to again, or that I have to come back here to go to.
And this is something God, I hope I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, but
calling out some people.
Calling out a little bit. So for some of the family reunions where we've got family kind of all over the country, so we do like destination family reunions, and
cool.
It's an interesting dynamic because there's the older members of the family that are more conservative, small town. They're out west, and they don't really like change. They don't like things that are different. So like it was always like we need to go stay at a KOA or a hotel, and we want it to be close to a Perkins, and then we'd always eat at Perkins. And I'm like, I don't want to go to I don't have anything against Perkins, but
it's
also
another like just mediocre.
Right.
Everything is just like average. I mean, like they have some things that are good, but like you don't think of Perkins and be like, oh, that one thing is so incredible. I love it.
Right. Well, and then it's like if I'm going on a destination someplace,
right. If you're driving like hours to get somewhere,
I want to try what they have there because it may be the only time I ever get to try that. And
not to say that like probably there's something. Well, I mean that's not always the case, but like there could be someplace around you that does the exact same thing, or you could make that exact same thing in your home, but like you still want to try something new.
Right. And it's not just the food either. It's the atmosphere and the experience of what that is.
For me, it's the food. It's just the food.
Is it always just the food?
Oh yeah.
I like the atmosphere and the experience, and
yeah.
I like because especially when you're traveling, and you're talking to waitresses or bar. Like I said, I really always prefer sitting at the bar. And
that's good.
And the bartender, talking to you, and then they'll ask you the questions, and they find out you're traveling, and then they give you recommendations of stuff to do from a local, and then you get to try out more cool restaurants and places to go have a drink and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I mean, it's like I don't know. It's like why would I want to go?
Is that your secret to success?
It really is. That and breweries. I fucking go everywhere I go. I hit every brewery we can possibly hit. And they guide us. The people at breweries are usually pretty legit.
They're so legit they could even sponsor us.
They could. We drink beer on every episode of this, and we would be happy to tell you what kind of beer it was if you paid us and gave us beer.
Could be their beer.
Yeah,
all the time.
We might even just drink it for free and do a shout out. You know what I mean? Like I spend a lot of money on beer, so.
Yeah, we'll do an at-cost exchange.
All right, what do we got next?
Let's see. The fuck is canned tuna?
Yeah, we're ruining canned tuna, man.
Millennials specifically are killing canned tuna. Oh, but the industry, and now hold on, this is even better. I gotta turn off ad block here. It doesn't like the ad block for CNBC.
Yeah, this is a CNBC article, by the way.
Yeah, it's even more mainstream. Pause on this site just for now. Okay, so but the industry is fighting back.
Yeah,
apparently
we're in a fight. We're in a fight with the canned tuna.
We're at war with the can of tuna. I can't even say it. Can of tuna.
Can of tuna. Can of tuna wars.
Yeah.
Serve 2 tours of duty fighting canned tuna. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
All right. So apparently consumption of canned tuna has dropped more than 40% per capita over the last 30 years. Maybe because you haven't changed the fucking recipe one time or done anything interesting with it. So like Campbell soup, Kraft Heinz, Starkist, Bumblebees, Chicken of the Sea, struggled as millennials turn away from processed foods. Oh, what do you know? We don't want like highly processed foods like in our bodies and all the bad shit that goes along with us. That's so weird. Never would have thought that. So smaller brands apparently market themselves as safer and higher quality, are also gaining market share, which is eating into their profits. Weird. It's almost like there's room for those giant corporations to make some sort of change and improve on themselves instead of just being stagnant.
Like,
old
why aren't
ass
you
giant
eating the same
corporations.
shit we fed to your great grandparents?
For 30 years, they've been losing market share. Did they ever think to like maybe do their own fucking like small corporate or like their own small branch, being like, this is green or this is fresh, this is like freshly caught? Nah, they're just like, we're good.
Yeah,
We're good. But we're going to complain to CNBC about how we're losing market share and losing dollars because millennials are killing our industry.
I like how the vice president for marketing at Starkist Tuna said a lot of millennials don't even own can openers.
Don't most cans of tuna have the little...
No, they don't. See, this is one of the things that like is a little surprising because I eat a lot of canned tuna. Like I just like tuna and fish and seafood in general.
Tuna can be done good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you have to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you just are eating it out of the can, like
just all I do is I crack it open and I don't even get a spoon. I just try not to cut my tongue as I lick it out. Yeah. No, honestly, the thing I do the most with it is I make tuna dip.
Tuna dip. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I basically put a whole shit ton of mayonnaise in there, and
So mostly it's just a mayo dip with like a sprinkling of tuna.
Tuna and some relish and some like garlic salt and cheese, and I don't know. I just dig through the cupboards. I'm like, this sounds like it's good in here today.
The most Midwestern way to like make a tuna dip.
It's fucking good though, man. It is good. So I don't know that, and then I'll make tuna sandwiches, tuna melts.
Sure.
Out of the same. But it's good. You can buy a bunch of it, and if I'm not in the mood for it, it doesn't go bad, so it can sit in there.
True.
And then
I mean, when I was in basic, and they had the tuna packets every once in a while, and then it had like a flavor packet, seasoning packet that was not part of the like the Starkist packet or whatever. Like you throw that in there, and then you throw some of the veggies that they give it to you, and like I don't know. Especially in basic training, you can't be too picky about food, but like basically eat whatever's thrown in front of your face. But I gotta say, it was pretty tasty. Like it can be done, but clearly, what he said in the past 15 years, can openers became passe.
what the fuck?
This is why like people are so out of touch at this level of like living when you're a vice president of a major corporation. You're so out of touch with reality. Like you say this statement with a flat face,
a straight face.
And
like this is something I know for a fact. I've been to every millennial's house and none of them have can openers. Like, do you have a can opener?
Yeah, I do.
I have a can opener. Yeah. I don't think I've ever met anybody who doesn't have a can opener.
No, unless they're like a college student in a dorm room and they're like, I don't know, I just use the microwave stuff. It's like, okay, cool.
I did open a few cans of stuff in college with a screwdriver, which was a process.
I mean, technically, it's a can opener, just not made to be a can opener.
Yeah. I probably burned more calories getting into the can than I got out of it, but
that seems likely.
But yeah, like I don't know. It's like it's not like Pew's out there doing can opener research on like how many millennials don't have can openers anymore.
No.
Like,
it's just some VP being like, yeah, totally. They don't have can openers. It's passe. Also, who says passe anymore? Jesus Christ.
People who are out of touch with reality.
Yeah, apparently. Like Dr. Haas saying coup d'etat on his campaign. People were like, what the fuck is coup d'etat? I thought that too, and then I was like, "Oh, it's just a veggie dish, a veggie platter." Why did you just say that?
Veggie platter? Because I am better than you.
Right. And I say coup d'etat.
This one I think is just salt in the wound.
That's why John Fetterman won, by the way. I will fully
coup d'etat.
Coup d'etat. That's the only reason I'll go to bat for that any day.
I believe that. This one here is just, I feel like, salt in the wound. It's on Architectural Digest.
Wow.
And it's how millennials killed the guest room.
Yeah, I mean, we're renowned for removing guest rooms from our houses.
Yeah,
you know?
I know, just
all the houses that we can afford to buy.
It's just like, you see that guest room here? You know how people do additions to their house? I want to do a subtraction. Can we just wall this off?
Yep,
you know,
gone. It's just a storage closet now.
And it's like in lieu of guest rooms, I've slept on air mattresses, sofas, sofa beds, and other people's beds, even on someone's floor once. but we don't talk about that.
Sounds like you have bad friends,
exactly. I mean, I think like the reality of this is that millennials can't buy houses, so like a lot of them are living in fucking like apartments and shit that are like 1-bedroom apartments.
Right.
Or even if you can buy a house, you either have like you got your brother living with you right now.
Yeah.
And you work from home a lot.
Yeah, I'm
so
like 99% from home.
So like, and that's a much more common thing now too, is people work from home. So it's like, are you gonna leave an entire room empty all the time?
Right. Or would you find a use for it? Like, I think that's, I mean, to give some sort of credence to this discussion, it might be fair to say that millennials do not see value in not using a room for anything but exclusively for one purpose anymore, just in general, but specifically a room that you're only going to use when you have guests over, which is less and less and less, all the more often when people can't like travel as much because they can't take vacations because millennials killed them, or you know, just like people come over and then they go back to their own homes,
right?
You know, when they don't want to have to stay in somebody else's house.
Well, and it's like I mean, our home office has a futon in it. Your home office has a futon in it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's still like a guest room.
Right.
But both of us are lucky enough. Like you would have a dedicated guest room if your brother didn't live with you, I guess.
True. Yeah.
And we do have a dedicated guest room. But you know,
sorry about that dog pee stain, by the way.
That's all good. You know,
it's not dog pee.
my old house, we had our main bedroom, which you've stayed in that house too.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And then it was a 2-bedroom house, so the other bedroom was Emily's office. Her treadmill was in there, and there was a futon, and you know, whatever. Like, you make space with what you have, but
yeah, I think it's just this comes down to shitting on people who want to have multi-purpose rooms, whether it's out of necessity or just like them wanting to have more usage for a room that rarely gets used.
Right.
Like,
or
also,
you just
also, who cares?
Right.
Who cares? Why are you writing an article about like something that literally affects nobody except for the particular people that are making a decision? Or like if you're making the like when you're vacation planning or you're planning to go to somebody's place, and whether it's you're just going over there for like New Year's and you want a place to crash, or like you're planning a vacation to go stay with that particular person, talking about the sleeping arrangements, usually that comes up.
Yeah.
And so like the fact that you slept on somebody's floor, that's on you, brother.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, if you're sleeping on somebody's floor, it kind of seems like that was, just either a poor life situation, like you,
or sister.
Yeah. A poor life situation, or you, you had no place else to stay, and they're like, "Hey, I've got a roof you can sleep under.
Right,
sorry, I don't have more space for you. I didn't do an addition for a guest room in my 1-bedroom apartment that I pay $2,000 a month for."
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I was trying to look through here to see if there's anything else that was kind of gave a little bit more. Although it doesn't look like she comes down all that hard.
Not super.
Just like it's like most people don't have a 3,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
And like it makes somewhat sense to have multi-purpose rooms.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's just it's such
like
a pointless article.
I think it's more clickbait.
I think here, from glam rooms to sex rooms, private recreational spaces are the new normal.
What?
I am not.
Don't quite.
Sarah explains that in my experience, it often means that space for guests will get sacrificed. We've not only brought the office home, which we were just talking about, but also for leisure, from glam rooms, which I don't know what the fuck a glam room is, to sex rooms. And I do know what a sex room is. I watched
because I love having my sex room.
I mean, hey, a sex room's probably going to have a bed in it, so that sounds like a flexible space to me.
I'm sure nobody will have any issues sleeping in your sex room when they come to visit. Well, you've just given Emily the green light to design and buy everything for your personal sex room.
Not even going to lie. We've talked about it because So, so there's a Netflix show.
Oh boy, we might not be able to air this episode now. Emily might kill us.
There's this next Netflix episode. Oh my God, I am fucking dyslexic today.
It's been a long day, you know.
There is a Netflix episode or show called, I think it's How to Build a Sex Room. I don't know. It's this old British lady who goes around and designs sex rooms for people.
Nothing like an old British person to
right, exactly. Yeah. And so it was just entertaining, and like, so all these people want their like personal sex rooms, and like, you know, some of them want them in like a dungeon in the basement, and some people just want their guest room. Some people have their whole bedroom made that way, and we're like, hey, our house is like bigger than our old one. We could do this too if we wanted. And then we're like, we've got that creepy weird room down in the basement with the chalkboard on the wall. So that was as far as our sex room planning got, but.
So it sounds like you guys went really far down that rabbit hole then.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that distracted me.
It took an unexpected turn.
Yes, it did. It really did. All right, back to something more near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
A beer.
Yeah.
Beer. We're coming back to beer.
And this one's one I've heard. I actually read an article along these lines, and I had to go seek this one out on my own, and there's multiple ones about this. That millennials are killing the beer industry because we don't drink shitty beer. I mean, we're drinking Busch Light right now, so we do drink shitty beer, but...
Yeah, we're not really... although... I gotta say, the only time I drink Busch Light is when I come to these episodes, or if it's the only beer in somebody else's fridge, which is what we're drinking beer. Right now.
Yeah, that's right. There was some Miller Lite in there, but I'm not. That's ugh.
It's 99 calories. It's just one less calorie
than some other beer that definitely tastes better than it. However, it works.
It still doesn't taste good. I mean, just millennials have. Obviously, with how much millennials love breweries, including you and I, most of the time breweries don't just put out Busch Light as like something out there. Like they actually put time and effort into creating a beer that has a flavor, any flavor, and so that's what millennials like want to drink, and I don't think that we're drinking less overall as a generation. So like clearly we're just choosing different beers, and particular beer companies are just complaining that we're not buying their shitty beer. It's the same thing as like fucking Applebee's and whatever restaurants complaining that people don't want to buy, or tuna companies that we don't want to buy their same old fucking shitty tuna that has the same fucking flavor that's been having in the last for 50 years straight.
Well, it's true, and like and it's always funny to me that they come out with stuff like this. And again, we all like to talk about how small business is the backbone of communities and everything like that. And once again, like I love breweries. Now I do not discriminate when it comes to alcohol. I drink everything, and I don't mind, you know, cheap light beer.
No, I mean, I don't mind it either. I love me some Golden Light as a just kind of cheaper option, and in between like an IPA or something like that, kind of bring the alcohol level down. Between like as
and I am sometimes a quantity over quality person, you know, like I subconsciously drink, and if I'm doing that with a 7 or 8 or 9% beer, I am going to be passed out on the couch by 9 p.m. And so we
definitely buy a bunch of like sparkling water cans at home specifically because like just like the motion, it's like the muscle memory, right?
It really is.
And it's not even necessarily always about the alcohol.
No. So like I usually have some cheap light beer on hand, but like when I go out, I have no problem spending more money on craft beer. But again, part of it is the atmosphere and the experience. You get to try new things. Like I love sours. You know, I love a good Pilsner. I like a nice hazy, you know, and
I've gotten into a habit of going any restaurant, and if they don't have a beer menu for me, I'm just like, bring me a hazy IPA. And they're like, well, which one? I don't care.
Yep.
Like, I just give me something because I'm sure I'll like it. And if I don't, I'll try the next one. And like, it's going to be good.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's what I like about going to breweries. And then breweries do fun shit like you know, like trivia and bingo and all kinds of stuff. They've always got something going on.
Or there's always like a food truck outside that has really good food or something.
And so it's more that community aspect.
Right. Millennials and our generations are missing those third places, right? And like breweries are like our version of the neighborhood like bar on the corner a little bit to a certain extent.
Right. But it gives you like with food trucks, it gives you more of that variety of stuff to eat. And again, you're supporting more local business.
Somebody spent, $15,000 on a van and now they're cooking food, and that's probably all the money that they had saved up and they maybe took out a loan to get some of that stuff. And
it's awesome. And it's something, it's like you get a limited menu of something to try from, and a lot of times you're just forced to try something new, and that's cool. It gets you out of your comfort zone. It opens up new horizons.
Or the taco truck near my place that we had that one time. They have some incredible tacos, like way better than any of the tacos that I could find normally around me and white ass Minneapolis.
And Minnesota has fucking taco restaurants everywhere.
We do.
I don't understand Minnesota, because Minnesotans hate spice. Like we are the most bland people when it comes to food on the planet, but we fucking love Mexican restaurants. They are everywhere. Every small town has a Mexican restaurant, and just can we get an Italian place or something? Just anything different.
Usually we get like pizzerias, and that sort of takes the place of an Italian restaurant, but it does not take the place of an Italian restaurant.
No, it doesn't.
They do not do Italian restaurant if their main dish is pizza. No. Like they're not the same thing. There's a little bit more to Italian cuisine than a pizza.
No.
Which is not to say that I absolutely freaking love pizza, but Italian food as a whole, there's a lot more to it.
Look, we're sitting over the top of a pizza joint right now, which is another thing that every small town has, is like 4 pizza joints and 2 Mexican restaurants and maybe a Chinese place.
Maybe one.
And then a bunch of bars that serve burgers and stuff. But no, I think breweries are filling a gap in society. It's much more of a community thing. And I could give a shit less if Anheuser-Busch and Coors Miller and whatever, all them other companies are suffering a little bit.
Right. I mean, and what's the big deal? Like they're losing maybe at most like 10 to 15% market share and like a couple percent on their profit margin, like year over year. They're not going out of business anytime soon. They're not like laying off thousands of employees because their profits are dropping a couple percentage, and even if it was, then it's like cool, you can get another job, like
well, and that's the thing. I think that really, I don't know. Did you want to do napkins? That's another thing we killed.
we could do napkins. That could be our last thing.
Yeah,
is napkins.
Yeah, millennials apparently hate napkins. This is Business Insider.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. We're always trying to be eco-conscious, right?
They don't even say it's eco-conscious. They just said we prefer paper towels. I don't even know. Don't the same companies make the same shit?
We prefer paper towels to paper napkins.
Younger consumers are opting instead for paper towels at the dinner table, the Washington Post reports. So this is a Business Insider quoting the Washington Post about us killing napkins. Real investigative journalism here, guys.
They're knocking on millennials for only buying one paper cleaning product instead of 2 different paper cleaning products. One that's specifically marketed to being at a dinner table and one that's not specifically marketed at being at a dinner table. Which, I mean, if you want to point to the bigger picture in that millennials are less formal as a generation, and just obviously they're younger, so they're normally younger people are less formal than old people. But like that's just not our culture, is to be super formal. Like nobody's going in there be like, oh, I need to have my formal dining room.
Right, yeah.
But like nobody gives a crap if you have a paper towel as your napkin instead of like a little square paper napkin that's been folded 4 times. Like or you just go to Chipotle and steal a bunch of napkins from Chipotle and use those as your napkins. Like
we put Applebee's and napkin companies out of business
all from visiting Chipotle.
Well, this is what I think is funny though too. The post points to a survey conducted by Mental. I think that's what it's called. The same company discovered that millennials find cereal too much work to eat.
Wow, they're really trying hard on this one, aren't they? Cereal's too much work to eat. Maybe because cereal is like not healthy for you, generally speaking, in any way whatsoever, and like,
and also like, who has milk in their house anymore?
I mean, Addie's a little bit like lactose intolerant. Mm-hmm. I'm not, so I totally could have cereal all the time, but I don't know. I also don't need breakfast every day.
I don't ever eat breakfast.
I'll have a cup of coffee or drink some water, maybe like a banana, and be like, yeah, that was a good breakfast.
Coffee's my breakfast. I don't know. Yeah. And milk is weird. Guys, can we like agree that milk is fucking weird?
Milk as a concept is a pretty weird thing generally.
It is. Yeah, it's a little gross, and it's not good for you in any way, shape, or form.
Well, if like you get like, since skim milk is like okay, it's still sugary, watery milk. Like it's still not great for you.
There's nothing. Yeah, and it actually makes your bones more brittle.
Does it?
It does. It does.
Oh boy, we're gonna have the cattle industry people coming down on us pretty hard.
Dogs, yeah. Yeah, fuck them. I mean, the dairy farm already died. It's all big corporate dairy farms now anyway. So stop. And I mean, I consume tons of cheese. Don't get me wrong. You process that milk, and I'm perfectly fine with it. But just drinking just straight milk is just that's weird.
We use so much cheese. Man. It's crazy.
So much cheese
and butter.
Butter. Some guys
There's
like
nothing
butter.
better than corn on the cob. With butter and salt.
Fair corn, where they've got the vat of butter. It's just like a 55-gallon drum of melted butter, and then they just dunk the whole thing into it, and then like wrap a napkin around, so your hands still get covered in butter. But that is the best fucking corn.
It's pretty incredible.
It's just because like it's literally drowning in butter,
and then just like shake like a whole thing of salt on top.
Entire thing of salt on it.
Yeah. Our arteries are like constricting as we speak, but it's just so good.
So good.
If you're ever in a Minnesota around Labor Day, you gotta go to the state fair. It is incredible.
Yeah, the state fair is it's the biggest state fair in the country per daily attendance. So Texas gets to claim that theirs is bigger.
Because they have more people?
No, because they run it for like a fucking month.
Oh, jeez.
So like more people attend because it goes for like twice as long as our fair.
Oh, sure.
But if you go by daily attendance, we just dwarf the shit out of it. I mean, they still only have, I don't know, a few thousand more people total attend their fair.
Oh, really? It's that close?
I mean, it's pretty close. It might be like 10,000 or something.
Sure. Right.
I mean, it's fucking
but
close.
It's not millions.
It's not millions, and again, we're 10 days or something like that.
Right, 10 days, and Minnesota has less people in it than Texas, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And their fair grounds, I think, are physically bigger, but
sure.
Yeah, our total attendance, it's like,
considering our fairgrounds are right smack dab in the Twin Cities, like it's pretty incredible that we even have as much space as we do.
Oh, it is, and the Minnesota State Fair is something. I've been to other state fairs, and I didn't know when I went to other state fairs that like our state fair was like the most legit state fair in the country. And so like I went to other state fairs, and I'm like, this just feels like a really big county fair. Like I'm parking in dirt, and like they've got some like carnival rides that came here on wheels, and like you're eating stuff out of trailers, like. And they didn't even have cheese curds in the South when I went to their state fair. I think that's kind of changing now, but that's quintessential state or fair food. But and so it felt like my hometown county fair. And this was the Virginia State Fair.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's just like it's all on grass and shit. Like our state fair has roads and permanent buildings.
Oh yeah,
like it's a town.
Like generally doesn't get used a ton other than for the state fair.
Yeah, so we also have the Back to the 50s car show, which is the biggest car show in the country.
Sure.
Then we have the Street Nationals, which is another huge car show that takes place there. They do other stuff with it through the years. Do. But no, our state fair is legit. However, I do think the corn at my local county fair is still the best corn.
I guess we'll have to see next year.
Yeah, you should come up for it. Anyway, that has nothing to do with millennials though. So back to that's all the stuff we.
So I mean, we're
killed.
gonna bring a little bit more aspects of like ruining everything and to some later episodes this next year. We're gonna try some new fun things and hopefully make it just kind of just always be highlighting the bare minimum the hypocrisy, if not the just pure idiocy of some of these articles and some of these people.
It's just such a. Do you think that they ever wrote an article like Gen X is killing bell bottoms, or like boomers are killing black and white television? Like that wasn't shit that ever like why is it that market trends change and suddenly we are the ones killing entire industries? Like nobody mourned the death of the cassette tape.
Right.
I just like trends have always changed. There's all kinds of industries and businesses that don't exist anymore. What about drive-in movie theaters and roller rinks? Like we didn't kill that.
Or like CDs. Like no cars don't even have CD players anymore. Like, but nobody is blaming millennials for that actually being caused by market trends that we actually impact.
It's like this is like one of those things where when people say, oh, every generation got shit on by the older generations and stuff, and it's like nobody ever had their generation have articles written like this on such a prolific scale. Like I'm sure
where it's like entirely memeable. Like the entirety of of the country knows about this meme and is like, yeah, it's really not that like real. It's not that real.
It's insane. And then half of it is just because we're too fucking poor to afford this shit.
Right. Yeah. Most of it is just like, if I could have an extra 4 or 5 bedroom house, that one room is just a guest room, then
sure,
no problem. I have no problem. If I have one room for an office and one for a bedroom and there's an extra room, good. That can be the guest room. Like I don't need anything else. Jesus Christ.
So
anyways, well, cheers to all the things that we have that we
Clink.
have killed.
Pour one out for the dead homies here.
That's right. And for all the things that we're coming for. We're coming for you.
Tuna, we're gonna win that fight, man. We're planning our next assault.
Speaking of planning our next assault, we wanted to spend the time to end 2023 talking about 2024 just for a little bit. We're planning on rolling out a couple new things, one being a premium membership. We haven't 100% decided. We're thinking Patreon is going to be one of the main drivers of that, but just to help us connect more with you guys and to help us, exist and being able to do this show. It's not for free on our side, and we would really appreciate any support that you guys are willing to give. Hopefully the benefits will heavily outweigh the rewards or the cost of being a
we aren't just going to ask you to throw money for a premium membership and not give you anything back for it. And we're working on what that's going to be, what that's going to look like, but it'll definitely be some more behind the scenes content. When we do these shows with guests and stuff, we're usually talking kind of like before and after, and a lot of the stuff is stuff that just couldn't make it into the episode, or it's just fun, more personalized stuff that you guys could get to see. I think we'll maybe do some live Q&A stuff where we'll talk to some people directly who are
we'd love to have a chat with some of the people who are really interested in what we're talking about, and just to have a conversation with you guys on air and get to know you and hopefully have some really cool discussions. So definitely some sort of stuff in there. We're definitely planning on having some more merchandise options. Right now there's basically I think a sweatshirt, and that's pretty much it. But we're definitely planning on having
some stickers, I think.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have some stickers, some can koozies, like probably some T-shirts. We're going to have a lot more stuff coming in.
And we do have stuff now. Go check it out, offthewagon.com. All that stuff runs through my website. But all of my merch for Off the Wagon and all of the Let Them Eat Toast merch is on the website. all of that, directly funds this kind of stuff that we're doing here. And Taylor has helped create some of the stuff, but Taylor's wife Addie she does the massive lion's share of both managing the website and coming up with all the fun logos and all that kind of stuff. And we take suggestions from you guys. If there's merch that you want to see, we try to make that a reality, especially if it's more than one person. We try to make that stuff so you can get your hands on it, because obviously we're doing this for you guys, so we want to put out what you guys want.
Right. And as far as like the premium membership goes, like we want to make it as affordable as possible. We're not trying to like make like hundreds of dollars or any money off of this. We're trying
not to spend money doing it.
Yeah, we're trying not to go too deep in the hole by the end of next year, where we're like, oh, you spent a couple grand on this and haven't been able to do much with it. But along those lines, we're also planning on covering some things next year. Some important things, you might say, with 2024 being the big election year. We're definitely planning on doing a lot more election coverage. We are hoping and planning on having a bunch of candidates come on the show, whether that be for Minnesota State races or even some national races, or just people around the country that are progressive, or even if they're not and they just want to.
We'll even talk to conservatives. Yeah. So if you are a political candidate running and want to talk to, want to be on the show, you can certainly reach out to us. I'm going to be trying to leverage some of the connections that I've made to have some candidates on, and just people involved in government in general, to get some different perspectives and be able to say the things that we run our mouth about all the time to somebody else's face and see, there's obviously things that we can learn, and
of course,
and our perspectives need to be challenged as well. And obviously, we'd like our voices to be heard, and I think that that's a good way to have it done. So we're hoping for that as well.
Right, absolutely. And obviously, we're gonna have a bunch more guests next year as well as we grow. We're always meeting new people, mostly on TikTok. It's I love me that TikTok. I think it's probably the best thing that's happened to leftist politics in the last 5 to 50 years.
I just think it's one of the best things to happen to media, honestly, in general. Just the direct contact of content that you can get in anything, not even just political, not even just news, just anything, but having that, and then the community you can build within that, because there's not a whole lot of other things where you just get to build relationships with other creators and with fans and with followers.
You just put your stuff out there, and other people can interact with it, and you can form relationships, and we're looking to form a community that way. And we're really excited. If you're on TikTok and you want to chat with us, just reach out, and we'd be happy to discuss some
opportunities. We definitely again, we love talking to people, and the more people we have, the less we have to talk ourselves, so that helps too.
My throat. That's already feeling it.
But anyway, as always, we love you guys. We hope you have a great holiday season, a great New Year's. We hope that 24 is a year of great things. That's right. And we will hopefully be sticking with you now for 2024 and years to come. So stay tuned, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, take care, guys.